Bring the lights down low, time to start the show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock, some movies shock. They're powerful or odd. We cover them all on your favorite pod. They're dramatic, funny, sometimes scary. That's not weird, that's extraordinary. I've got the need and I've got a fever. So play me a little dream weaver. Life moves pretty fast, some will fizzle out, some movies last. I understood there would be no map. It's the 30-something movie podcast.
It is the 30-something movie podcast. It's After Dark 30-something movie podcast because this month is definitely not for kids after we had the 4 Kids month last time around. This month, the movies have a little bit more of an adult bent to them, and no other movie is that more true than The People versus Larry Flynt. So that is what we are approaching this time around. I have with me, currently I have with me Bo Warmbold. Bo, how's it going?
I'm doing quite well, John. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. We eventually will have a Pat with us. I mean, the Avengers have a Hulk. We have a Pat. And eventually we will have a Patrick with us. I believe we are currently in the pocket of Big Pat, literally and figuratively, while he is walking a horse that just recently went through some surgery. And so I believe he's listening to us right now. He's going to join in as soon as his walk is done.
Yes, we're just finishing up and we will be in shortly. Hi, everybody.
Hi. How are you and Journey doing?
We're doing really well. He's getting all tucked away in the stall for tonight. I'm going to make sure that I don't leave anything unlatched, hit the lights, and I'll be on shortly. Looking forward to talking about this wonderful, heartwarming family picture that we have tonight to discuss with the listening viewership.
Yeah, Pat, I don't know if when you watch this one's not meant to be a comedy. Or maybe it is.
Oh, it's not?
No, actually, I think it is. This
I guess I misunderstood.
I can watch this movie for 5 minutes without having to go barf, John. How long can you do it?
I can watch it for 4 minutes.
I felt like I needed to take a shower in sulfuric acid after watching it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Not a Hustler fan, Pat?
I'm going to finish up here and we'll get the discussion started and we'll go from there.
Pat's one of the 3 questions we're going to go to a little bit later on. I have a feeling Pat's a little bit more of a Popular Mechanics kind of guy.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Well, let's all speculate what everyone's favorite magazine is.
There we go.
All right. I'll be on board.
Wow.
No.
That's a whole other conversation.
Pat, Pat actually does read Motor Trend for the articles. Yeah. All right. So our movie this time around, as we said, is The People versus Larry Flynt. We spoil freely here, so as we're talking, just be aware, be warned that if we mention a movie you don't want to hear about, maybe just hit skip once or twice and we should be done with it. Make sure you visit our website, 30podcast.com, rate, leave a voicemail, become a co-executive producer on Patreon over there, where we got a whole bunch of bonus stuff going on. I would also like to possibly welcome anybody who's listening to us for the first time. This last weekend, as of the time of this recording, I went to the C2E2 convention in Chicago, the Comic and Entertainment Convention, and I took a bunch of podcast cards with me. I have cards that have, 2 30 podcast logos ago that are on them because we ordered a bunch of cards and I never went through them, and we've changed our logo twice since then. So my plan was use up as many of these cards as possible, and then I can order new ones that have the new logo on it because the QR code still works on the back of the card.
That is the whole point of the magic of the QR code.
Yeah. Forget if you picked up one of those cards at the show, or if I gave you one of those cards, forget the fact that it says you can listen to us on Stitcher and Google Play, because that's not really so much a possibility anymore.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. But we are always on iTunes. So, well, it's not even called iTunes anymore. So there's that.
There you go, John. Mixing your metaphors.
I know. So I did notice we did have a little uptick in some of our listeners recently. So I just wanted to welcome anybody that if you're joining us, I did go to a...
Come try ya.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm mixing platforms, I think.
That's fine. That's fine. We mix freely here. So we usually get pretty mixed up here.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I did want to welcome some folks. I did actually go to a Chicago Podcasters Unite meetup that was there at C2E2. Got to meet some really great people, some folks that do a Sequest podcast.
Nice.
Some folks that do one other guy that was doing a pop culture podcast. Somebody that does horror movies, like 80s horror movies. Stuff like that. A couple other people. So yeah, I've added a bunch of new podcasts to my listening playlist, and I've got those queued up for the drive to work and the drive home from work and all that. But yeah, it was just fun to meet some new people and pass out some cards and hopefully welcome them to listening to the show and joining us.
Excellent.
And who knows, maybe we get them on as guests here at some point. All right. Let's go ahead. We'll just dive right into this one. So we are talking The People versus Larry Flynt. This one came out on December 25th, 1996. Oh, a Christmas movie. Look at that.
See?
Clark, this is the movie that keeps on giving all year round.
Well, they figured they needed a movie for all the people who didn't partake in Christmas, and so they made this.
Sure, yeah. Well, he's an atheist. He's not going to swear on the Bible or give you a Christmas gift.
Exactly.
Yeah. The rating for this one is R, had a runtime of 2 hours and 10 minutes. Director was Milos Forman, who did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Amadeus, which, let me backtrack or sidetrack or digress or whatever for just a moment. I saw somewhere, I think it might be on Stars, they are doing an Amadeus series coming up soon.
Yes.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
It should be interesting for sure.
I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, that I've always said that is one of my absolute favorite movies. So I'm very excited that they have a series coming out. Pat, however, is a fan of not Amadeus, but was it Mozart in the Jungle? I think.
Well, I am a fan of. Well, wait a minute. Did I like Amadeus? I thought I liked that movie.
No, I think you did. I'm just saying. I think you're more of a fan of the TV series Mozart in the Jungle.
Well, I remember when Mozart in the Jungle came out. My folks actually started watching it and then talking about it, and then that kind of got us all excited. And then actually, my assistant principal at the time was the big fan, and he was talking about it, and it was it was great. Yeah, that's a great show too, man. I'm just kind of getting lost in thought. I'm kind of having that. I need to rewatch that show kind of vibe going again. But yeah, it is a really great show.
Okay, Pat, you're burying the lead here. Who's in the show?
Okay, well, we get to that, but I was a big fan of the show, and then the one and only Miss Monica Bellucci herself was in one of the later seasons, and she was quite a character.
Dreamweaver.
I believe you can get me through the night.
Yes, she was quite a character in that. But I know, in my defense, I was a big fan of the show.
Okay, all right.
And then I found out she was going to be in it.
We don't want to put you in a box, Pat. We don't want to try to define you in limited ways. So,
but yes, I was. Yeah, when she came. Have you guys seen it?
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and her character was just absolutely magnificent.
In fact, I don't remember if I saw it before you. I feel like I might have texted you and said, Pat, I might have something I need you to check out.
Okay, then you know what? And I'm sorry that I didn't give you the thing, because I know that my assistant principal did.
Mm-hmm.
I know my folks were watching, and then I think we probably just started talking about it. And you're right. Now that I recall, you were on that season, and you were like, you got to really catch up because Yes.
I think I texted you that night. I was like, Pat, remember the show we were talking about?
Yeah. Hurry up and watch.
You may want to get caught up real fast.
You need to watch 2.5 seasons tonight.
The pitter patter of Pat's little heart is going fast.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Dear Lord. What movie are we talking about tonight? Yeah, that's right.
Do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Amadeus? We can talk about Amadeus.
You did the Dreamweaver drop, and that actually, that song features in this.
I feel like we're going to play Dreamweaver a lot tonight.
I don't know how that song fit in with the overall oeuvre of the movie, but it did.
Yeah. Well, it oeuvred something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. We got the director. Well, we got as far as the director, and that's where we got sidetracked. Writer for this was Scott Alexander, who did Ed Wood and Man on the Moon, and Larry Karaszewski, who did Ed Wood and Big Eyes. Scott Alexander, Larry Karaszewski, both working on Ed Wood. So I think there's something about these writers where I think they like eccentric characters. Is something I'm going to lean into there because Ed Wood was a weird dude.
Yeah.
I mean, a fun dude, but a weird dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Producer for this one was Oliver Stone, who did Platoon, Scarface, Janet Yang, The Joy Luck Club, and Over the Moon, and Michael Hausman, who did Brokeback Mountain and Gangs of New York. Composer was Thomas Newman, who did The Shawshank Redemption and American Beauty. Cinematographer was Philippe Rousselot, who did A River Runs Through It, and Sherlock Holmes. I don't know. I just felt like with his name, I needed to continue the Frenchness of the whole thing. Digressing for just a moment, I was actually approached by the teacher that's doing our musical with the students, and she asked me at one point, she's like, if you have a moment, would you be able to come to one of our practices and maybe help the kids figure out either a British or French accent? I was like, oh, dear Lord, I'm probably the last person you want.
John, I think that is outstanding.
Just for giggles, I probably would steer them in the wrong direction. And we'd have all the kids in Beauty of the Beast going, hey, governor, what's up?
I feel like you can do a Jean-Luc Picard British accent. Mm-hmm. Like that would be the accent of all accents.
Yeah. Oh, my name is Lumiere. Be our guest. I would just do stuff like that. I would just try to purposefully mess up the kids just for my own personal enjoyment.
Mm-hmm. I see nothing wrong with this.
Or I'd turn it into a creepy Frenchman. Hey, so be our guest. Who
is the Frenchman in our favorite podcast? The one that they always reference, the guy in the movie theater. What do they call him? Vichy French dude?
Vichy French man. Yeah.
The one that just started. Yeah, that was.
Sacre bleu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then didn't they have like background music that would play or a background sound effect? And
it's the wine drinking cafe thing.
Yeah.
Zut alors. Yeah.
I got to get back to greatest. Like I said, we've talked about this, but I mean, I kind of not stalled out, but just I started Voyager and there's so much great content they have. I have to listen.
Well, I'm going to tell one more story, and then I'm going to get back to actually talking about this movie because I know you really, really want to talk about this movie. But
anything else you can talk about besides
anything else? Just talk about anything else. My really quick story is after going to C2E2 this weekend, I told Bo about this before we started recording, and I got to post this up somewhere for the Greatest Gen folks to find, is I don't know if you remember from several years ago, they kept talking about how Ben and Adam, the hosts of that show, kept talking about how they wanted one of the writers to write them into an episode so they could get blown out the airlock. They're like, we really don't care. We just want to die. And they said that over and over and over again. And so a comic book artist reached out to them and said, hey guys, I was doing a one-off Mirror Universe Voyager comic, and there is a panel where I had to blow off part of the hull of the ship and some officers get sucked out into space. The two of you are in there. And so while I'm at the comic book show in Chicago this weekend, that artist is there. And so I happened to stop by his table and I said, hey, I want to pick up one of your comics. And I said, the reason I know about you is from Greatest Generation. He's like, oh, are you an FOD? And I said, Best boss I've ever had, basically.
You guys use that. That is outstanding, sir. Good form.
And so then I talked to him. I said, yeah, I heard that you that they finally got blown out of the airlock at some point. He's like, yeah, it was in this issue. It's called Mirrors and Smoke. It's a Voyager Mirror Universe story. I don't know if anybody here at the convention has a copy. If you get it, I'll sign it for you. And so I did a little bit of searching, and after maybe 2 or 3 stops, I found one. And so I go back to his table. I was like, I found it. He's like, that was crazy quick. I said, oh, yeah.
He did not know who he had tasked with this assignment.
He did not know he had released the Kraken.
Exactly.
And so I brought it back to his table. He's like, this is awesome. And so he opens it up to that page and he signs it in the panel where he's got Ben and Adam being blown out of the ship. And then he adds a little speech bubble next to the Adam character that says something like, help me, FODs. So I'm gonna have to snap a picture of that and share it on the face tubes.
Yeah, and that's really cool. You got a couple of really neat art pieces of artwork this weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a really nice Rocketeer one. It was a French artist, and he did it on black paper, so it looks absolutely awesome. And then the kids had picked up for me a couple of prints of this artist that did, like, the backgrounds were scenes of like the Chicago skyline, but it's the Chicago skyline with like an AT-AT walker walking along the beach on Lake Michigan. And there's another one of, I think it was on one of the L tracks. It had the DeLorean from Back to the Future driving down one of the L tracks. So they had picked up a couple of those for me. So I've got some new artwork to put up once I find wall space for it.
Nice. Very nice.
All right. I know we're trying to steer away from it, but I'm going to steer us back to The People versus Larry Flynt. Editor for this one was Christopher Tellefson. He did Moneyball and Capote. Production company was Phoenix Pictures. This one, the budget was $35 million. Box office was $43 million. Flickmetrics gives it a 78%. CinemaScore gives it a B+. Woody Harrelson played Larry Flynt. It was in Natural Born Killers and Zombieland. Courtney Love was Athlia Leisure. She was in Man on the Moon and 200 Cigarettes. Edward Norton was Alan Isaacman. He was in Fight Club and American History X. Brett Harrelson played Jimmy Flint. He was in Dante's Peak and Strangeland. Richard Paul, who passed in 1998, played Jerry Falwell. He was in The Specials and Eating Raoul. James Cromwell was Charles Keating. He was in Babe and L.A. Confidential and Star Trek First Contact. Donna Hanover was Ruth Carter Stapleton. She was in Ransom and The Siege. Crispin Glover was Arlo. He was in Back to the Future and Willard. Vincent Schiavelli, who passed in 2005, was Chester. He was in Ghost and Batman Returns and Amadeus. Miles Chapin played Miles. He was in Hair and Get to Know Your Rabbit. James Carville was Simon Lease. He was in Old School and The Adjustment Bureau. Norm Macdonald, who passed in 2021, was a network reporter, I think a CBS reporter. He was in Dirty Work and Billy Madison. And Larry Flynt himself, who passed in 2021, played Judge Morrissey from the Cincinnati court. He was in the video Motley Crue Afraid and a movie called Son of the Beach.
Son of the Beach.
Mm-hmm. All right, a couple quick trivia things for this one. So Columbia Pictures originally refused to insure Courtney Love to be in this movie due to her history of drug use. So Milos Forman, Woody Harrelson, some of the producers actually paid the insurance premiums out of their own pockets to keep her in this movie because they really wanted her there. And then the director, Foreman, did mention that Courtney Love actually showed up to her first meeting while on drugs. And he was about to dismiss her from the movie, but he realized that she was perfect for this role. And so he ended up offering her the job on the condition that she would stay clean and undergo regular testing while they were making the movie. And she actually did and stuck with it. And he said that he absolutely loved working with her, would not have put anybody else in that part, and actually cast her again in Man on the Moon, which would have been his next movie. And Courtney Love said that because he did this for her, that kind of helped her get off drugs and helped her with, kind of like the second phase of her career at that point. So I thought it was a pretty good story. There might be some questionable stuff that comes from this movie, but that seemed like a little shining light that came out of it. Let's see. Woody Harrelson actually used Larry Flynt's actual gold-plated wheelchair during some scenes following the assassination attempt. Edward Norton's final argument to the Supreme Court was taken almost verbatim from the actual transcripts of the Hustler Magazine Incorporated versus Falwell case. And originally, I thought this one was kind of fun. It would have been a very interesting change. The producers were actually dead set on casting Bill Murray as Larry Flynt, but Milos Forman kept trying to call him, and Bill Murray would not return his phone calls.
You hear that about Bill Murray, that he'll answer. If you get him to answer the phone is the hardest part.
That's what I think a couple of movies we've covered so far, wasn't it also Kingpin? Like, weren't they trying to get a hold of him for that? And they couldn't reach him?
Finally did on a fluke. And they're like, all right, we're doing this.
Like a friend of a friend is like, I can get a hold of him. And then after multiple phone calls, this one guy calls him and he picks up right away.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy.
Right.
The guy who Bill Murray picks up the phone.
Right. But I tell you what, if a director like Milos Forman is giving me a call, I think I'm picking up the phone.
Yeah, but you're not Bill Murray.
Well, that's true. I'm not.
I mean, I don't mean to be rude about it.
No, it's not rude. I know my limitations. All right. In a world where morality is a battlefield, much like love, morality is a battlefield. One man is willing to lose it all to protect your right to be offensive. From the backwoods of Kentucky to the steps of the Supreme Court, Larry Flynt takes on every system imaginable in the ultimate fight for freedom. He is a hustler. He is a provocateur. And he is the First Amendment's unlikeliest of heroes.
You got a real naked woman there, okay? A beautiful girl.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
Just shoot her.
There's a new, darker influence in Cincinnati.
If you don't like Hustler magazine, don't read it.
I don't.
We're breaking taboos.
How about a 50-year-old centerfold?
How about the Wizard of Oz?
Hustler.
Depicts Santa Claus in a lewd and shameful manner.
Decent people are being corrupted.
Ohio Governor Jim Rhodes was spotted buying the infamous Jackie O issue.
God Almighty will judge you.
It was your intention to hold Reverend Falwell out to be a hypocrite.
Well, that's what he is.
You have a strong civil liberties case on your hands.
Are you ashamed to have your husband locked up? I'd rather have a man that stands up for what he believes in.
You're so beautiful. All I do is publish a magazine. If you break moral laws, you reap the whirlwind. Hallelujah! Mr. Flint, is that an American flag you have on that? If you're gonna treat me like a baby, I'm gonna act like one.
You're just taking this too far now.
I've just closed my eyes again. Climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train.
Unpopular speech is absolutely vital to the health of our nation. I'm not trying to convince you that you should like what Larry Flynt does. I don't like what Larry Flynt does. But what I do like is that I live in a country where you and I can make that decision for ourselves. You get on that plane, I quit.
You don't want to quit me. I'm your dream client. I'm the most fun. I'm rich, and I'm always in trouble.
All right. So for this one, we're going to go through some major moments on this one, and then we will dive into our deep thoughts and tell you what we really feel about this one. And I mean, I would feel bad censoring it, but we do try to be as family friendly as we can. So I guess unlike Larry Flynt, keep it clean.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah. Well, Larry's not on the podcast. I mean, number one, Larry's dead, but Larry's not on the podcast. So I think I think we can do it. I think we're going to be okay. All right. So starting off, it's 1972. The year was 1972. Larry and Jimmy are just trying to keep their Cincinnati strip club, the Hustler Go-Go, from going belly up. Larry's big aha moment is a newsletter featuring the club's dancers, which evolves into Hustler Magazine, a move that changes media history and his tax bracket forever. The magazine is initially a bit of a dud until Larry manages to publish paparazzi shots of a nude Jackie Kennedy Onassis. This becomes a national sensation. It's the rocket fuel the brand needs and turns Larry from a club owner into a full-time publishing mogul. Larry falls hard for Athlia Leisure, a young stripper who becomes his ride-or-die partner in this whole thing. As the magazine pushes boundaries, Larry starts racking up enemies, goes to jail a few times, famously pointing out the hypocrisy that shooting a picture of adult situations can land you in jail, but shooting a picture of a murder wins you a Pulitzer Prize. After a 1975 obscenity conviction is overturned, Larry meets Ruth Carter Stapleton, the president's sister. In a wild twist, she actually convinces him to give his life to Jesus, leading Larry to try and clean up Hustler, a move that absolutely enrages a cynical and resentful Althea. Everything changes in 1978 during a Georgia obscenity trial. A white supremacist sniper shoots both Larry and his lawyer, Alan Isaacman, outside the courthouse. Isaacman pulls through, but the shooting leaves Larry paralyzed and in permanent agonizing pain. Broken and bitter over this whole thing, Larry renounces his new faith and retreats to Beverly Hills, checks out of the business, leaving Jimmy and Althea to run the show while he falls into a dark, years-long spiral of heavy drug use to cope with his depression and his physical trauma. After a 1983 surgery helps his pain, Larry returns to the spotlight with a vengeance and zero filter. He fires Isaacman, throws an orange at a judge, and even wears the American flag as a diaper to court, eventually landing himself in a stint in a psychiatric ward for his antics. The ultimate legal showdown begins then when Larry publishes a satirical ad suggesting that the Reverend Jerry Falwell had a drunken encounter with his mother in an outhouse. Falwell sues for libel, and Larry countersues for copyright infringement because Falwell used the ad to raise legal funds. I feel like that's a bit like, getting Al Capone on tax evasion.
Yeah.
It's kind of that. Like, you can't get him on the other
stuff. But it's a tried and true method.
Sure, yeah. The story takes a tragic turn when a morphine-addicted Althea reveals that she has HIV. Devastated by her diagnosis and the stigma from his staff, Larry fires his crew to care for her personally, but she ultimately drowns in a bathtub after losing consciousness. Finally, at the end, Larry begs a reluctant Isaacman for one last fight, wanting to be remembered for something meaningful. So they take their case to the Supreme Court, winning a unanimous landmark victory for free speech that protects satire and parody for everyone. Those are the major moments. Pat, you doing okay?
Yeah. I'm going to go back to the barn and just go ride my horse more. And you guys discuss. And
just go back to your happy place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because, why don't we do the drop and then get into it?
Okay. All right. It's I think, time for some deeper thoughts. Pat's ready to go deeper on this one.
And now, Deep Thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot.
Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
All right. So, deep thoughts on this one. When was the first time you saw this movie?
This was the second time I saw it. I don't remember exactly when. It was post-college and before now. So just a 3-year span. I remember it was on and it was like, okay, I've heard all about this. Let's check this out. Right. And I mean, the acting talent in it speaks for itself. As well as I think like the writing and the producer and all that. I mean, that's a high end group. So yeah, I saw it once before. And now I'm watching it for this one. This would be 2.
Utah, give him 2. Oh, what about you? When was the first time you saw this one?
When it came out, but probably not right when it came out. I was a little young.
Okay.
So I kind of like Pat. I probably stumbled upon it thinking, okay, what was the big deal with this?
Yeah, find out what all the hubbub's about.
What's the deal with this movie?
I'll admit, I watched this movie before I ever saw a Hustler magazine.
Okay.
For what that's worth.
Okay.
But the interesting part about that is I couldn't tell you when they stopped printing Hustler either. So I don't know what the timeline of that is. I realize I'm on a podcast talking about this movie. I probably should know that. I don't.
I think it's probably okay.
Okay, good. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, Pat, I think I'm in the same spot you're in. I think I saw this sometime after college, but before now. I think probably maybe during college, maybe right around that time was the first time I remember watching it. And just because it was probably one of those weekends where I was like, I'm just going to rent a bunch of movies and watch them. And I probably walked into the video store and I was like, what are movies that I remember seeing the VHS cover of at Blockbuster that I've never picked up? Like, what are the memorable, having that picture of Woody Harrelson's face on the front with, I think, the American flag, like, taped over his mouth. I probably did that. I probably was like, let me just pick up ones that I've seen in the video store for years and years and years, never grabbed it, never watched it. Let's do that. Because otherwise, I don't know if there's anything else that would have drawn me into wanting to watch this. I mean, I'm a fan of Woody Harrelson and his stuff. Like, I like a lot of his stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what would have originally drawn me into wanting to watch it. Now, slightly different story is reading about this, the Hustler versus Falwell case for the Supreme Court. I remember reading about that when I was in high school.
Sure.
So I took the journalism class in high school. It was like Intro to Journalistic Writing. And there were a bunch of different things we watched in that class. We watched all the President's Men, and we read up on that whole, the whole story, the whole Watergate thing. And I vividly remember we read, was it a newspaper article? It was something, I think a newspaper article that was talking about this court case, this Supreme Court case. And I remember we had this in-class debate over the First Amendment and like what's allowed and what's considered satire and parody and all of that. So that was my first, even before I ever saw this movie, that was my first kind of connection to, this particular story. And then I remember when I watched the movie for the first time in college or after college, I was like, oh, that's that thing we read about in my journalism class. So that I don't know if that's what would have caused me to watch it the first time, but yes, this was viewing number 2. Now, the question I had not asked yet, which I'm going to maybe ask now, is initial reactions without digging into anything just yet. We're going to go into deeper thoughts here in just a moment. Do you like this movie?
Like is a strong term to use.
The heavy sigh helped me interpret some of that.
But I don't hate this movie.
Sure.
It's depicting things that happened.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a documentary by any means.
Sure.
But it's the performances are very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think even Courtney Love is surprising in this movie.
Sure.
I don't think the writing is abhorrently bad in any way. I think,
okay.
I mean, you said in the recap, they use the argument from the court case. So, it has a lot of realness to it that makes it not a terrible movie.
Yeah.
We could spend all day talking about the content, but
yeah,
as a piece of art, it is decent.
Mm-hmm.
Am I signing up to watch it every 3 years? No.
Right.
Like, I don't know that I ever need to watch it again. Twice is plenty.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I agree with everything you say. I think you said it in the most eloquent way. I right down to where you described the movie itself, the content. And it's funny because how many times do we watch movies? Now, I tend to love to watch the movies where the main characters, there's the good guy, there's the bad guy, end of story, there's some challenge, sometimes a little bit more of the two-dimensional character. And now we're looking at real three-dimensional characters, right? There's no good guys in here. It's just a bunch of people all kind of muddling through and so on and so forth. And it's how often do we say that with our we want our our main character is to be thought-provoking and interesting and all this kind of thing. And now we got it. And I'm like, ugh, this is, I don't know. What am I thinking? I don't know. And, you know, hand wringing and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like, well, we've got what I've been asking for. So I think that's the only other dimension I'd put in there, is just that it's like, it's a movie that makes you think, challenges you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about this one in relation to some of the other movies we've watched, like some of the other movies that have a similar kind of feel to it. This, I found watching it this time, really reminded me a lot of Leaving Las Vegas, the one that we did last year, the Nicolas Cage one, where he's the screenwriter, and he basically, you know, because he's an alcoholic, he kind of loses everything and goes to Vegas with the goal of basically drinking himself to death. So I was finding that as I was watching this time around, I for some reason in my head, I'm picturing a lot of Leaving Las Vegas. So it kind of had, for me, it kind of had that vibe of, you know, you're kind of watching a very sad figure. Now, this figure also is doing something that, you know, as someone who went to school to learn about journalism, and as somebody who, you know, teaches history and teaches government and teaches all that other stuff, the things that he is doing and fighting for, I'm sitting there, I'm going, okay, yeah. I mean, if, you know, in some ways, if you're going to defend the First Amendment, if we're going to take the route of defending the First Amendment, you got to defend the First Amendment. So it, you know, I think within certain types of reason, I think you also have to like be careful about that. You can't, I don't know that you can necessarily just say anything you want to say, but I think the ability to say or publish or whatever, you know, you want to say that fits within the boundaries of what the First Amendment is intended to protect, then sure. Like he's not a great person, not a redeeming person, there's not a whole lot of redeeming qualities about him. But there are moments in the movie where you see he does very much love his wife. He does get very involved when he's talking with Ruth Carter. I'm blanking out on what her last name was. Ruth Carter. Well, whatever. But yeah, kind of when he gets involved in all that, he changes his life, all those things. Like, that's all great. But yeah, then it kind of rolls into towards the end of the movie where he's just, well, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. I'm going to throw oranges at the judge. I'm going to put on an American flag diaper. I'm going to do all these things. And that's the moment where you kind of lose me a little bit. But the idea of fighting for the freedom of speech, I get that. Now, I don't know. I see him as being a very heroic figure, but he's getting the job done, I guess.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying with that. And I'm sorry, my dreaded headphone thing returned, so I don't know how much my rambling got cut off and all that, so I apologize. But it's, you know, John, you raise an interesting point, because it is. And it's like, okay, well, we believe in the First Amendment, so let's just push it as far as possible to see how much can we accept. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how much can we, I don't want to say buy in. That sounds like you're buying something. How much do we want to uphold this First Amendment and have someone being, you know, obscene? And I get that to a point, but then it's like, okay, well, we're pushing it with pornographic material and obscenities pointed at public figures. I mean, you know, the whole, well, is that really what the founding fathers intended? Well, okay, maybe they intended it to be a blanket thing and they couldn't possibly, you know, comprehend that this would be kind of the behavior that we would be standing up for. But I feel like, I don't know, you know, you look at like cancel culture and all that stuff now, and that's maybe a completely different thing, but it's like, well, how much does the First Amendment apply? You know, like we're fighting for the First Amendment. Look at all this great work he did. But, you know, someone articulates a viewpoint that you don't like. It doesn't have to be the government that steps in and shuts it down. We just all get together on Facebook and, well, we're not going to buy that product. You know, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot that kind of goes into my opinion when I look back on this movie. And furthermore, we live in a time now where there's, you know, at the push of a button, you have all sorts of stuff that you can be exposed to on the internet. And you mentioned like the AI deep fake kind of stuff. And boy, just edit this out because I don't want to draw the wrath and ire of everybody in the World Wide Web somewhere. But, you know, you have a bunch of stuff on YouTube where people are walking around saying that, well, we're defenders of the Bill of Rights. And basically they walk with a camera into a place and just kind of, you know, annoy and bully and pick on people the same way that some junior high age person would annoy, bully, and pick on people until they freak out and just dare people to say, well, you can't stand there, just so they say, well, my rights say I can. And, you know, it's like, okay, so yes, they do, but what point are you proving? Like you're proving it in the most immature and childish manner possible. You're picking on some person that's just trying to like get through their day and do their job. You're picking a fight with people. And it's like, okay, for what purpose are you picking that fight? Now, I'm obviously going off course from where this movie is, but I can't watch this movie and see those things presented without looking at it with the lens of now, where, you know, you get into the algorithm of YouTube and it's just full of people that are wanting to hold a camera and get on people's nerves just to say, well, the Bill of Rights says I can do that. You know, so it's kind of like, if all that it's worth, if that's all the Bill of Rights is worth to you to just go around and like, you know, childishly try to spin people up, well, then in a way that's no different than, you know, someone taking an American flag and wearing it as a diaper, right? Like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think which I know just saying that out loud would probably cause a lot of people to like cringe just thinking about that, right? Like, I mean, oh my gosh, like you couldn't even fathom doing something like that. At least the house I was raised in, you know, you wouldn't even think of doing that. But it's like these things that we hold dear need to be more than just a symbol.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's some counter argument that I'm not looking at, but I don't know. I'm rambling. Was any iota of that? Did that make any sense, John?
Oh, it did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think what it comes down to is the Larry Flynt, and whether you look at it from actual history or from this movie, I think the idea that I think that this movie is trying to get across, and not that I'm trying to defend him as a person or in any way, shape, or form, but one thing that I think if you wanted to come away with some kind of legacy that he has and how it shaped the way we look at the First Amendment today is that his idea, his legacy out of all this is that the First Amendment exists to protect all kinds of speech. Like, even if we don't necessarily agree with it, now there's a whole different section where we would address things like obscenity. But things like, you know, being able to disagree with something and not have that thrown out. There's a whole heap of stuff, obviously, that's, you know, going on right now in our country and in the world that I'm not going to get into. But, you know, there's people that would argue, well, I don't like that, so therefore I'm going to take that away. I don't want that to be printed. I don't want that to show up on TV because I don't like it. That, I think, if you were to look at, if there's a bit of a ripple effect from some of the stuff Larry Flynt did, and again, his tactics, not a fan of the tactics, but the end result of some of the stuff that he did, I think, is there to help protect, you know, to be able to protect free speech from the, I don't like how that sounds, therefore I'm throwing it out. So I think that's a piece of it. Yeah, go ahead. You were going to say something, Pat.
No, I hear you. And I thought the movie did a really that one scene where they were talking about it and drawing the comparisons. But, you know, are you trying to tell me that Hustler magazine is like the first, what do you call it? The first political cartoon, right?
Right.
And almost kind of laughing. And he says, well, of course, anybody that would, you know, see those things as the same, you know, that makes no sense. And they all kind of chuckled. But he says, you're not talking about, I wish I remember the line. You're not talking about, is it right or wrong, or does it fit or not? You're talking about like scale. You know, now you're getting into, do you remember that scene where he drew the distinction between, you know, yes, pornographic material, and yes, the first political cartoon are completely different things, but not in terms of are they protected under the First Amendment? Because now you're talking about what's tolerable or scale. And I really like how he drew that distinction.
Was it the one where he's talking about the Santa Claus cartoon?
Yes.
And he says,
yes,
I think I've got it here. I'll pull it up here. So the prosecutor says, do you think the founding fathers had a cartoon like this in mind when they wrote the First Amendment to our Constitution? And Larry Flynt says, no, but I don't think they had Playboy in mind, or people either for that matter, because I saw a couple of 4-letter words in there a few weeks back. But isn't a community allowed to set its own standards? And Larry Flynt says, no, that's just the disguise for censorship. This country belongs to me just as much as it belongs to you. If you don't like Hustler magazine, don't read it. Then the prosecutor says, I don't, but what about our innocent children that gaze upon it in our grocery stores? And Larry Flynt says, if a kid gets caught drinking beer in a tavern, we don't ban Budweiser across the nation. Was that the one you were thinking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was something where his lawyer was going through, something too. And I don't know, like maybe I'll find it and we can just drop it in, because it was a really, I don't know. And I'm going against myself again. And I'm saying like all the things that made me cringe in the movie. But there were some really thought-provoking arguments. So then there in of itself, I like what this movie made me do. I like that the movie made me uncomfortable and come to grips with, okay, I should be able to explain why I'm struggling with this. And okay, there's that point. Because, like when he says, well, just because you find something uncomfortable on television, do we just ban it and say no?
Right.
Or do we just say, turn the channel? Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, and where do we draw that line? Like Star Trek had the first interracial kiss.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that got banned in various sections. Like I remember there were segments of my family that were just like, oh man, queer eye for the straight guy. That's, that I don't, and it was kind of like, there were other segments of my family that said, if you're offended by that, just turn the channel, but don't say about someone else's lifestyle, like it really, and it's like, okay, well, that's kind of the same thing. So again, if you start to say, well, this stuff needs to be not allowed.
Yeah.
That being said, I also see it as a parent would, where, okay, that doesn't mean that should necessarily be introduced to kids, without some sort of guidance, right? Like that's the biggest thing that one of the things about the internet, right? Like, okay, well, the internet's raising our kids, and like, it's not like a magazine that you can put away. Now you've got a whole slew of other stuff there that just does not necessarily present healthy, you know what I'm saying? Like a healthy way to look at things.
Right.
But again, does that mean that we ban, or because where do you draw that line?
Yeah. Yeah. If anything, it did a job to move away from what was the famous line from the court case in the 1960s. It was, I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like, I'm not going to define obscenity, but I know it when I see it, is kind of like the argument that for many, many years it was, but I know it when I see it. Okay, well, yeah, but different different parts of the world and different parts of even the United States, even different parts of the, states that we live in, somebody may define something a little differently. Like other countries may define things as being obscene that the United States does not define as being obscene, and vice versa. And so if anything was done to help leave a lasting legacy on the First Amendment, I think it was to move it away from to have more of a definition for obscenity than just, well, but I know it when I see it kind of a deal, because there is a whole, and I'm not a legal scholar. We need D. Graves to be on this podcast because I'm no legal scholar, but in the very quick amount of research that I did do, there is something that was established in a court case called Miller v. California from 1973 called the Miller test. And oddly enough, that has nothing to do with how many Millers you can drink in one sitting.
Oh, that's sad.
I was slightly disappointed in that too. I kind of figured that would
seems like they're missing something obvious there,
So here's the thing. Maybe as you go through and put something up against the Miller test, you can take a shot or take a drink every time it passes one of the parts of the Miller test.
And you have to say, it's Miller time.
It's Miller time, yeah. But apparently courts use this Miller test, and as I understand it from, again, my 10 minutes of Googling that I did to be able to look for this, is that to be legally obscene, material has to meet all three of the following criteria, and that is there's what's called the prurient, I'm going to say that wrong, the prurient interest. The average person applying contemporary community standards has to find the work taken as a whole appeals to a shameful or morbid interest in sex. Number 2 of the Miller test, it has to be patently offensive. The work has to depict or describe in patently offensive ways sexual conduct specifically defined by applicable state law. And the SLAPS test, which between the Miller test and the SLAPS test, there's a lot of stuff going on here. The work taken as a whole has to lack serious scientific, literary, artistic, political, or scholarly value. And so apparently for something to be considered obscene, it has to have all three of those things. It has to pass, it has to tick the boxes on all three of those. So I guess the one thing is, I guess it gave, I don't even know if I want to say it gave objectivity to, but it was a little bit less subjective than, well, I know it when I see it. Because there now is criteria that you have to put this up against, just so you can't just have some judge somewhere that says, well, I don't like it, so therefore I'm tossing it out.
Yeah, and again, I can't swipe all that out. I mean, we need the legal expert, right, on the pod. But I mean, that's hard because, you can be only objective for so much. You can only be data driven so much. You can only, and it's still going to come down to I don't know. I mean, there was, where I went to school, music wing, and then the visual art wing of the Fine Arts Center. And the visual art wing, there were, some pictures that I remember. There were some of the more conservative professors I had. Oh, yeah, don't walk down that hallway. But that should not be out there. That should not be this. That should not be the other thing. And it was kind of like, okay, well, I walked down it, and it was like, I get it. But then I don't know, everything seemed to be presented in an artistic way. Talking to people about raising kids and how do you describe about, things like, do you not use certain body parts names? Do you make it a joke and then yell at kids when they giggle every time they hear it? Right? Or do we just use the words to describe that it's the human body? This is how it works. And if we make it taboo, well, then things aren't talked about. So I really think that a lot of this does broker that.
Is there, the big question, Pat, is there cream corn wrestling involved?
Yeah, that's exactly. The hard part is, right. The hard part is, then you see the material that's being presented and it's like, okay, it is supposed to be offensive. It is supposed to be juvenile. And are there people out there that are going to find that? But yeah, that's totally fine. Okay, so then they can enjoy that humor. So then it's like, okay, well, then why should we buy in that magazine? Okay, well, it's out, for the public to see. Why? Okay, well, then So like I said, the discussion goes on. It's more complex than just get rid of it or allow everything, right?
And the movie is interesting in that it kind of, even though he's I mean, what is he? Does he call himself? So he calls himself a scumbag at one point. He's like, well, the First Amendment even defends a scumbag like me. But one of the other interesting things that does not show up in this movie, so we're making choices, we're making artistic choices here, is as I was doing a little bit more digging, apparently he had several children. And we don't see any children in this movie, unless I missed something. None of his children show up in this movie. And apparently one of his children in particular, Tanya Flint Vega is her name. And she actually wrote a book where she talked about, I think it was called Hustled, My Journey from Fear to Faith. And she talked about her experience kind of growing up around that. She alleges that he abused her and then describes how she was able to kind of get out of that world. And so clearly the movie is trying to depict him as a very flawed hero, but that's also trying to depict him as a hero, like a hero of free speech, a hero of, defending whatever lifestyle you want to have, however you want to, approach the world and make money in whatever way you want to make money. But the flip side of that we don't see at all in this movie is he might have also not been, I mean, he doesn't seem like much of a hero to me anyway, but he might not have also been very much heroic material to even the people in his own family.
Well,
so that just shows kind of another side of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's child abuse going on, whatever,
right.
Whatever that is, that's like a non-starter for me. I mean, that's like for all of us, right? Like that's just immediately that. And then, okay, so now that cycles back and we talk about the movie and then it's like, okay, you're taking this character and you're putting a real name on it and you're not painting an accurate picture.
Right.
And I struggle with a lot of biopics that do that. I remember talking about Nixon. Was it Nixon? Yeah.
Might have been, yeah.
And it was like, well, okay, this is a dramatic movie, but like there's a lot that is just really, really not accurately portrayed here.
Right.
So I don't know. That's something that I definitely do struggle with.
Yeah. Well, before we go on and tackle three questions here, Bo, Pat and I have been talking back and forth a lot. I want to make sure that we get you jumped in here because I know you've got opinions, but Pat and I sometimes don't shut up. So we're going to shut up for a moment and you tell us what you think.
No, I mean, I think I said a lot of what I needed to say. And when I talked about how I feel about the movie, the performances are fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't think we can, I mean, it has to be hard for some of these people to play these people because of the things they've done. So that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think we've said what needs to be said about the movie. It's not something I'm going to rush out and see, but as a piece of art, it's hard to deny what it's doing as a biopic,
Yeah. To your point, I think
interesting that they don't mention the kids. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
You do have to cut something. I mean, you can't show every minute of a man's life.
Right.
And the kids not having anything to do with the case for what it's, for what it's worth, the name of the movie is The People versus Larry Flynt.
Right.
So this is about the court case.
Primarily about the First Amendment stuff. And yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, you brought up the line I wanted to make sure we got to. The First Amendment protects even a scumbag like me because it does.
Right.
And it should. And it's definitely in a gray area. It's definitely an area like I don't have kids. So I think I look at things like this a little differently. I don't have as much of a struggle with the First Amendment of it all as some people do.
Sure.
Which I get. Don't get me wrong. Like I get it. I get why other people would look at this differently than I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting movie. And if anyone's listening to this who hasn't seen it, and I don't know why you would, but that's not the point. if you're interested enough to get this far, you should see the movie if you haven't yet for any weird reason. Like, if you're interested enough to have listened to all this nonsense, like it's a film worth seeing. Now, if you took one look at the title, know who Larry Flynt is, and said, "I am skipping this week's podcast," it's not. This movie's not for you.
Understood. Yeah.
You know, we talk every once in a while. I say something. This movie wasn't for me.
Right.
This movie cannot be for you and still be okay.
Right.
And I think that's the case the movie's trying to make.
Sure. Yeah.
In its own way, right? Like
if you don't like it, turn it off.
Right. And I think that is and I think part of this is me reacting to the times we are in 2026, where it's easy to amplify your dislike of something so that it is louder than anything else.
Right.
But we have so much content, just don't watch it.
Right.
I don't, one of the things I've never understood about our culture now is hate watching.
Sure.
I know people do it. I don't get it. And anytime I'm in a conversation where someone's talking about it, I'm like, what? Wait, so you took your precious time and chose to watch something to hate it?
Excuse me for just a second. I was hoping to be able to get a cough button so that when I cough, this won't happen, but hold on just a second. Star Wars and Star Trek fans. Whoa. Okay. I might just have to edit that out later. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Bo.
I thought you were going to do the extraordinary drop, because if you think about it, right? Like, you've chosen to hate, well, you've given your time to something you hate. There's only one response to that.
That's extraordinary. What would you like to do next?
I've never understood it.
Yeah.
And I think that this movie fits in that weird niche for me. Like, I know people who've watched this movie and to hate it. And I don't understand.
Go watch something happy then. Watch something that makes you happy.
Hey man, time is precious. You have choices. Nobody's forcing you to watch The People versus Larry Flynt.
Right.
Well, I guess John technically sort of cajoled us into watching it.
I was kind of forcing the two of you to at least watch The People versus Larry Flynt.
I'm realizing as I said that, okay, sometimes someone's forcing you.
To quote Doc Holliday, my hypocrisy knows no bounds.
And there you go.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to say before we jump into 3 questions?
Well, one, Bo, as always, eloquent and just so economical with the words you use to like drive home big points. Love it. I love it. As someone that uses a lot of words to drive home no points, I just marvel at your ability to do that. And
part of it is, Pat, I don't like the sound of my own voice, so I have to I have to say as little as possible in order
you
to
you are too modest, sir. You are too modest.
That's astounding after 11 years of podcasting.
The other piece of it that I thought was just such a, like, I hear what he's coming from. And again, I want to believe, and it's hard when you find out that the character in real life, abused his family. But when he said, well, here are the images that we think are completely, inappropriate, and how dare we look at that, and so on. And then put the images of war and bloodshed and violence and gore, and that is okay. But then, you show something that's more lurid, and oh my gosh, that's incredibly taboo, and how dare they do that, and we're all awkward and all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think about it with movies. Oh my God, the amount of violence that is being put in movies. And again, like, my mom would definitely not allow, the content that was in this movie for me to watch, but my mom bumped on Tom and Jerry, and she's like, yeah, I don't like that. And I'm like, Tom and Jerry, Mom, come on. And she's just like, no, I don't like that. I don't want you kids watching that. And she was like, honestly, it's because of the casual violence. Yeah, they're okay, but they're hitting each other, they're smacking each other. And she goes, I don't like that casual being violent to each other. And, I'm glad Dennis is not here, because he'd be, like, what? But like, she never was a big fan of the Three Stooges. She didn't make it a big point and say, well, I just can't. like she did with Tom Jerry. She just said, I never got the appeal. And it's funny because it was like, when she explained it that way as a kid, I'm like, oh, no, interesting. And I remember that it was the Friendly Fire podcast was talking about Captain America. And they were talking about how violent that movie was. And they brought up a really good point. I forget which one did it. Who was the main host? Not Adam and Ben.
No, it was John. What was his name?
John Roderick.
John Roderick. Yes.
John Roderick. He brought up the point like, okay, well, in Captain America, they're zapping and disintegrating like just, whole swaths of people. And okay, but they put masks on, so that kind of dehumanizes them. So that makes it okay in PG-13. But then he says, what does that say that, okay, well, you just put a mask on and then that dehumanizes someone. So that makes it okay to take them out by the hundreds. Mm-hmm. And he really brought that point with Captain America. And it was like, okay. And then it was funny because when he said that, and I heard it 40 years after my mom used to say the same thing about Tom and Jerry, it really made me think. And so then I draw that connection to this movie to where he's saying, we tolerate all this violence. We tolerate all this bloodshed. We tolerate, all this image. But then, these other ones we don't like. I mean, the whole wardrobe malfunction at the Super Bowl, right, was just, oh my gosh, stop the presses. And this is, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. But then look at all the violence that we allow to be on TV and have younger and younger kids watch. And so again, like, I really think, my struggle with the movie and all the heavy sighing and, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, is not so much, okay, well, I hate on this movie. And Bo brought up a great point. It's kind of like a safety check against that. It was more like, this movie really makes me, clarify what I think and understand what I think, and to keep my opinions tidy, because they portrayed the characters that were against Larry Flynt in this. He would trip them up because they just, they arrogantly claimed the moral high ground, and they didn't always have it.
Right.
You open yourself up for charges of hypocrisy.
Right. Yeah.
And that's, I think, a kind of a cautionary tale when you're taking these things on. You really have to keep your stuff tidy, and you have to understand, and not just dismiss everything out of hand.
Right. Right. All right.
Yeah.
It is time for 3 questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right, 3 questions. The first of our 3 questions is, what is your favorite magazine? I should have probably prefaced that by, does anybody still read magazines? But we could go to, what was your favorite magazine at all? Like growing up, now, whenever.
I like reading magazines. I kind of miss them.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go on a little tangent here, guys. And I'm sorry, because I'm hogging all the airspace. But
you're fine.
This past weekend was the United States Motorcycle Grand Prix, MotoGP. And we're a little bit off by dates. And I'm going to say this at a bit of a clip because I'm going to get all emotional because it has to do with motorcycle racing. But this is, okay, shoot. Going to have to move it a clip. It's the 20-year anniversary of Nicky Hayden winning the MotoGP title. Look it up. It's one of the greatest sporting things of all time. I'm biased. He's my favorite motorcycle racer. Totally David versus Goliath. Took on the world, took on his own factory. like all the chips were down. The guy still managed to win the title. I'm getting through this quickly. Anyways, 20-year anniversaries this year. And at the US Grand Prix, they had a whole tribute to him and all that. He actually became a bicycle racer and died 8 years ago. He got hit by a car, real bad deal. Anyways, point is, bringing it back, they published, and it's up. You can see the digital version online, but they had at the track, they had a magazine, not Motorcyclist magazine. I'm drawing a blank, but you could pick it up, and it was a whole retrospective on him.
Oh, nice.
And it was real with interviews and all that kind of stuff. And it's absolutely awesome. I mean, like, just awesome American hero, a motorcycle racing family from Kentucky. I met his folks at one of the just awesome deal. Anyways, to have that magazine with big photo spreads and you can sit there and just enjoy the pictures, there's something to be said. I love magazines. Yeah. So yeah, I pick them up whenever I can. So I'm going way on a tangent. But and it was a digital version, and I've been looking all over to try and order. I'm thinking they were just handed out at the track, which means, you're probably going to pay an arm and a leg for an actual physical copy of it.
Sure,
but
yeah.
I am a fan of the print media.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh, what about you?
I'm getting off my soapbox.
Oh, you're fine. What were you subscribed to?
That's interesting because I went through a phase where I would subscribe to anything I could that I could get cheap for a little while.
Sure, yeah.
And then digital magazines. See, I'm a big fan because you can, like, Apple News Plus is a good example.
Yeah.
Like, I can get to so many magazines now, and I can just read the quick article I'm interested in, which is kind of my thing. But growing up, there were 3 that I really liked. Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, and not just the swimsuit edition, but I did enjoy the swimsuit edition.
I have a funny story about that. I'll tell you in a minute.
Oh, dear. But what I really liked, and this is going to sound dumb, as I got a little older, high school-ish, was U.S. News and World Report and Newsweek.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And what I really liked was the commentary and the cartoons, and I can't remember which one it was, but there was one of those 2 leaned really heavily into cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say in like the first 15 or 20 pages or something. There was a few, and it was always fun to open to that cartoon. Like, that's what I looked forward to when I would read those.
Yeah.
But, I like cartoons. What can I say?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, growing up there, I mean, yeah, wanting to work for a newspaper, wanting to work for, to be a journalist in some way. I always had magazines that I loved. I did get the Sports Illustrated. I think I had during high school. I think I had a subscription to Sports Illustrated for 2, maybe 3 years. And I always enjoyed getting that one, just, getting to read it. Of course, that was the time period when, the Bulls are, doing their second three-peat and that kind of stuff. And my funny story was I had the subscription, and I had the subscription for probably about 3 years. And during none of those 3 years did I ever end up with a copy of the swimsuit issue, because I absolutely guarantee my mom intercepted it when it came in the mail and threw it away.
Oh, that's funny.
This is the same mom that's like,
rough, man. That's rough.
This is the same mom that's like, no, I don't know what happened to your Guns N' Roses t-shirt. I mean, it's not in your drawer. No, Mom, it's not in my drawer. And I didn't put it in the laundry either. So unless it magically walked out of my door, no, I don't know what might have happened to it. Great. Thanks a lot, Mom.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Did you ever get the free gift for subscribing? Did you ever get the football phone?
I never. No, at that point there was not I don't think the football phone was still a promotion that they were doing by the time I got my subscription.
Yeah, my uncles.
I always thought that was fun though. I always wanted the football phone.
Oh yeah, one of my uncles had the football phone.
Okay. Yeah,
because when I was even younger, I would read theirs, and then
Yeah, the football phone always looked fun.
I forgot about a magazine, and your story triggered me.
Yeah.
So, big Cub fan all my life.
Yeah.
The Cubs had a magazine. They called it Vine Line.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that thing.
Yeah.
That, and it was a big one. It came in like a tabloid size. It was a big sucker.
Yeah.
And you could kick back with that thing for hours. Great big, to Pat's point earlier about the big full color pictures, just, and that was back when, TV wasn't in HD.
Right.
I mean, I was at the game last night, and, they've got guys on the field with a camera rig when the guys come off the field, like following them every 10 steps.
Right.
No, that was old school. The guys with the big, long camera lenses, and they were,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the stuff.
So growing up as a kid, I loved magazines, and so many different ones. I remember, especially when we moved to England, and I feel like that was probably also a thing here. But there were a bunch of magazines that would come with, they were computer magazines like PC Mag or something like that, that would come with a 3.5 disc that had like a free shareware game on it or something like that. And I always remember picking those up. Those were always fun. If I got to narrow it down to my favorites, though, when we moved to England, my nerdiness destroyed any boundaries that it might have had. And I became really, really interested in astronomy. So I was subscribed to the British Astronomy Now magazine for quite some time. I always loved the Star Wars Insider. Like, that was one of my favorite ones to get. I would say probably, I used to get a free subscription to Game Pro magazine because I had an aunt that worked for Toys R Us.
Oh, nice.
And so I'd get the Game Pro magazine for a while. I forgot
about that one.
Yeah. The one that I had a subscription to for years, and I used to have all my copies of it, and I don't know what happened to all those copies, was Wizard magazine.
Oh, yeah.
So I always used to get the Wizard magazine that had all the fun, like, fan castings. It was, in 1993, they were like, you should cast Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I'm like, that's a great idea. Let's make that happen. But yeah, Wizard, I think is probably, I'm gonna list that as my favorite, because as soon as that one would come in, I would just devour that thing.
I remember this.
We even tried for a little stretch of time at the school that I was at in England. A few of us were trying to get together, and we were going to make our own magazine. And we had even printed up a few copies. I remember a friend of mine did the front cover one time. It was when the Aliens versus Predator comic was new, and they were talking about, there were rumors there would be a movie. So we wrote an article about, what would they do if they made an Alien versus Predator movie? And he drew the front cover of it. And I feel like we printed this thing up. It was maybe 6 pages. And I think we sold it to our friends for like 10 pence a piece. Yeah. So I think we had 3 issues, and then I think the magazine folded at that point, but
that was it. 3-issue run.
That was it, but it was a good run. It was a good run.
Yeah.
Question number 2.
I think
go ahead.
I got to say, I think my absolute favorite magazine was, there was all the car mags like Road and Track and Motor Trend and all the bike mags you could get, but my absolute favorite was Cycle World. I think that was my favorite. And I had a subscription for the longest time. Loved reading about all the bikes, but moreover, I really liked all the editors that they had. I was really looking forward to each month's column. It was great. In fact, Peter Egan became one of my favorite authors, and they published a bunch of his things that he wrote, or things being articles, sometimes just his weekly column, and then sometimes it was an extended one.
Yeah.
And I'm losing all my train of thought, but the point was the book is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the stories that he could write about motorcycling were just absolutely great. And I think Hunter S. Thompson wrote an article about riding a Ducati motorcycle in there. I mean, it was Cycle World would have to be my absolute knockdown top of the line favorite magazine.
Yeah. Nice.
Sorry, just got to throw that in there.
Oh, that's good. Question number 2. Who is your favorite judge in a movie or TV show?
Well,
I am the law.
The law.
Hey, Pat just pulled off an impression.
You did. I'm proud of you.
Pat deserves a shout out.
What's a ute?
Oh,
I think that might also be mine. I think I had Fred Gwynn as my.
I mean, he's amazing. Fred Gwynn's amazing.
Yeah,
to begin with, but then that character is just so good.
What's a ute?
What's a ute? I mean, there are a lot of great. Movie judges, but I mean, the judge from is it Ghostbusters 2?
Yes,
that scene is priceless.
Yeah.
The Scoleri brothers. I sent him to the chair. I forget
Wasn't that Bill Murray's brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the boss
brothers.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of the Murrays, I just never remember which one's which. But yes, that guy.
It's the one that'll answer your phone calls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I guess one of them has to, right?
It's
hard to put a family gathering together if no one answers the phone.
The one Murray brother that doesn't screen his calls. One of my other favorite, I'm going to throw this one out here too, because I think that Fred Gwynn might be my other one. One of my other favorite judges is I don't know that they ever mentioned his name, the judge in the Three Stooges short, Disorder in the Court.
Disorder in the Court. Mm-hmm. So good.
Raise your right hand. Please remove your hat.
Please remove your hat.
Raise your right hand.
Yeah, that's good stuff too.
Not your
honor, I feel like
my
there are
honor.
So many that I'm just not thinking of, and then the floodgates are going to open in about an hour, and I'm going to be like sending the text up. I forgot this guy and this guy and this guy.
Well, it was at Def Dave on one of his podcasts just recently did an episode on Night Court.
Okay, well,
yeah, I mean Harry Stone is a classic for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like we have a lot of lawyer movies. We have, I mean, obviously Night Court. Do we have any judge movies? I mean, I'm like honestly, yell at me, but like I feel like everything is focused on the lawyer and not the judge.
Not typically. I don't think there's too many that are focused on the judge.
Right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Who is the I was going to look him up real fast. The judge, J.A. Preston is the guy's name. He is the judge in A Few Good Men. And I love that guy because what is he like? And you will address me as like, he completely stands up to Colonel Jessup.
He says, because Colonel Jessup, I'm not done with you. I'm not done with you, sir. You will address me as, Colonel or whatever. And he's like, if it pleases the court. And the court notes that, blah, 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 that, Colonel Jessup requires to be known as, his rank. He goes through the whole thing. And then he says, I don't know what kind of outfit you're running here, Judge. And he says, the court, and that's when he says, the court says, that you refer to the colonel by rank.
Yeah.
As you will refer to the court. I believe I earned it. He just reverses the line. It's classic.
He says, and the witness will address this court as judge or your honor. I'm quite certain I've earned it. Take your seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is awesome because that's like the first time in the entire movie that someone just kind of like stops Jessup.
Yeah. So that's another good one. That's another good one. Judge Julius Alexander Randolph is his name. Yeah, the character in that one. Yeah. All right, and finally, question number 3. What is your favorite Edward Norton role? So this one should be a pretty easy slam dunk for me. Fight Club is one of my favorite movies. So I don't know that I can pick anything other than Fight Club. If I needed to step outside of Fight Club for like half a second, then I would probably say I really enjoyed his Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah, he was really good.
I really liked it. I thought it was a huge shame.
Yeah.
Not that Mark Ruffalo doesn't do a nice job with it, but I really, really enjoyed him as Bruce Banner, as the Incredible Hulk. And, you know, it doesn't hurt when you have a movie with, you know, like Edward Norton, who's a great actor, and then you've got Betty Ross in that one, was played by Liv Tyler.
That's a
That was not the sound I was looking for.
I know what you were looking for.
You know which one I was looking for.
Dreamweaver.
I believe you can get me through the night.
It is my First Amendment right to play that as much as I want to.
Yeah.
So, so if I had to do here, I don't want to steal anybody else's. Let's just do this. I'm going to say Fight Club, and then I will do like a slight runner up to the Incredible Hulk. I have one other one that I wouldn't want to throw out there, but I don't want to steal somebody else's. So I'm going to shut up for a minute and let you guys do yours.
More Edward Norton, more better, to
Sure.
steal one of Pat's lines. He's so good in just about everything he does.
Yes.
That, you know, just to knowing that we've already talked about Fight Club, I'll mention some other ones just to keep it, you know, to keep it fresh.
Sure.
American History X.
Yes.
We talk about a movie with some serious stuff going on, but wow. The Italian Job.
Yeah.
He's in that. I love that movie too, so that's part of it for me. Like, I'm a sucker for a heist film.
Yeah.
Heist film with a good montage and a good putting the team together moment. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, heist films, I was referencing the heist films at the barn the other day because someone said, hey, we need money. I said, let's have a heist. And they're like, you really think you could rob a bank? I said, well, I'd be one of the nice bank robbers. You know, something like Ocean's 11 as opposed to the guys in Heat. And then everything started happening very fast. The person I was talking to was like, yeah, I don't know either of those movies.
Oh, dear.
And as the oxygen started getting sucked out of my head, I'm like, I'm sorry. The person next to me looks and goes, Heat, Waingro. And it totally took me by surprise that she would be a fan of that. I'm like, you've seen Heat? And we launched into this huge discussion about how much she liked Heat. I told her about Heat 2, the novel. She's like, I'm looking for a good book. And our kids ride on the same team, the show team. So I'm like, we should start the show team parents book club. And the first book could be Heat 2. And so we talked all about that. And then I came back to, and I looked at the other person. I'm like, you don't know either of those movies? And then someone else walked in and said, yeah, you're probably aging yourself with a little bit of Ocean's 11. And I said, the one with George Clooney? Yeah. I said, I remember the one with Sinatra. And then her eyes got big and she said, okay, now you're really aging yourself. And it's just like, okay. And then we launched in. I said, you guys remember all the heist movies? You had that, you had Italian Job. And then the owner walked in and said, yeah, how about Point Break with Patrick Swayze? I'm just like, right there, bam.
Give me two.
Give me two. Do we have any heist movies anymore?
Oh, sure.
I don't think
Not
we do.
as many as we used to, that's for
Right.
sure.
Even Gone in 60 Seconds. I mean, think of that. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's probably been a few years since. I'm thinking of like Baby Driver was one. Inception would be another one. But as I'm thinking of those are all like almost at least 10 years old, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
Did you list Inception, John?
I did.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to think through that a little bit more. There was like a zombie heist movie that came out during the pandemic, I feel like.
It wasn't.
I got to see if I can figure out what it was. I remember watching it. I feel like it had, was it Dave Bautista was in it and Tig Notaro was in it. Tig Notaro plays a helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
I'm blanking out on what it's called. Was it a Zack Snyder movie? All right, now my dumb self is going to have to go look this up because now I'm struggling.
I remember Tig Notaro as the helicopter pilot of all things, that doesn't even mean I saw the movie. That just means I knew that bit of trivia.
Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead.
Yes, it is. Here, check out the Big Brain on John. It is a Zack Snyder movie.
Okay.
Look at you.
Look at me go. Yep, Dave Bautista, Zack Snyder directed. Army of the Dead came out in 2021, streaming on Netflix. Yep, so we're batting 1,000 so far. And that should have been the one where Tig Notaro. Yes, Tig Notaro is the helicopter pilot. And that was like a zombie heist movie.
Mm.
That's probably the last modern heist movie I can think of off the top of my head that I've watched. And that one was from 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. First of all, Thomas Crown Affair was a great heist movie. Both of them, actually.
Yes.
Those were fantastic. But let me ask you this. Was Avengers Endgame a heist movie?
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Or is it a heist movie in the same sense that the Blues Brothers is a musical in that it really isn't a heist movie, it just has elements therein?
Well, the Blues Brothers is a musical, but that's okay.
I know.
Hi, Jeff. We love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the one Edward, did you both get your Edward Norton stuff in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think we just sort of expanded on the oeuvre.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. So there's some really interesting Edward Norton stuff. I was reading trivia about him. His grandfather is credited with being the inventor of the modern shopping mall.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, like there's a lot of really interesting stuff about him. Like his father was an attorney for Jimmy Carter. The one I did read, he actually got the part in Fight Club because David Fincher watched The People versus Larry Flynt and is like, I love this guy. I got to get him in my movie.
Yeah.
So
good for him.
The other one I was thinking of, and all the ones we've listed so far are absolutely amazing. One of the years when you had, you know how sometimes you have the year where it's the year of the Western and everybody's making a Western movie, and it's the year of the Civil War and everybody's making a Civil War movie, or everybody's making a vampire movie, or whatever it is. We had that one year that was like the Summer of Magicians, and there was what is the one with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale? It's not The Illusionist, because that's the one I'm thinking of with Edward Norton. They're so similar. I get focused on one title and I'm like, what is the other one called?
The Prestige.
The Prestige.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
The Prestige. Oh, I gotta watch those movies again.
Because first of all, let me talk about The Prestige for just a second. Any movie where you have, and I'm going to spoil it, so if you don't want spoilers for The Prestige, have both of you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Pat, you've seen it. Okay. So spoilers for The Prestige. That was
supposed to be a thumbs up. Sorry, I don't know what that looked like, but that was supposed to be a thumbs up.
This is the 30-something podcast after dark. So, yeah. All I'm going to say, Pat, is...
That's extraordinary. What would you like to do next?
There's a reason we're not a video podcast, and it's because I don't know what's going on Pat's camera right here, but it's... Yeah.
We have faces for radio.
Pat's really stretching the boundaries of the First Amendment here. So anyway, The Prestige. So any movie that has David Bowie as Nikola Tesla, who is cloning cats and hats, sure.
Right.
Sign me up. Like the amount of bat guano crazy that goes into the end of that movie, I'm like, 2 thumbs up. Yes. In fact, we'll clone a couple more thumbs. We'll give it 4 thumbs up. Yeah, that is one. That one is amazing. The Edward Norton one, though, I thought he did an excellent job in that one too. The Illusionist was the one that was, during the summer of magician movies. Red Dragon, another good one. One of the Hannibal Lecter movies. He was good in that one too. All right. Well, that's going to do it, I think, for The People versus Larry Flynt. I think we have argued our case, and we'll let the jury decide. You can be the jury, and you can decide on this one whether or not you like it or not. As Bo had mentioned earlier, I think it is definitely worth a watch. The performances alone, Courtney Love and Woody Harrelson, Edward Norton, all these people in this, even like the little side characters. Crispin Glover's hair is outstanding in this movie.
Yes.
It's it's a different way to look at George McFly. So,
right.
Hey, you, let's get some more product on that hair. Yeah. Because it's my density. But this has been The People versus Larry Flynt. If you want to get more of our podcast, it's 30podcast.com. Our next episode's coming up for this month, so we're almost done with the month of April. The month of April is the definitely not for kids month. So far, we have had Bound, Sleepers, People versus Larry Flynt. Next week is Lone Star. And then this year, we are kind of building in some breaks for ourselves. We did a lot of recording last year. And so John doesn't want everyone to melt or disintegrate this year, including himself.
I'm melting.
Right. It feels a little bit like The Fly. There's a little bit of a help me kind of a thing going on. And so we're going to build in, I think 3 times a year, we're going to kind of build in a little break for ourselves. And the break, I don't know what I'm going to put in this spot just yet. So, maybe soon we'll have that announced, or it'll just be a surprise. We're going to take, 3 times a year, we're going to take something that has been in our Patreon paid feed, and we're going to put it in as a new episode in the regular feed. So you get a little bonus. It'll be, probably a couple years after the fact since we've recorded it. But we're going to throw some of those out there so you get a little bit of some of those bonus episodes coming out in the regular feed. So that you'll have that one coming up at the end of the month. Our Patreon movies that we did for this month were the Razzies of 1996. We talked about Striptease, Barbed Wire, and The Stupids. So that is available over there on Patreon if you so choose. And thank you so much to all the people that are supporting us over there, because that really, really helps us out covering some of the hosting costs and things like that. So, Bo, Pat, as always, a pleasure.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
All right, everybody, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we will see you back here next time for Lone Star.